waiting.
Today we're going to take a look at Johnny Guitar, a 1954 film directed by Nicholas Ray and starring Joan Crawford, Mercedes McCambridge, and Sterling Hayden. It's a Western, but an odd one that really doesn't fit nicely into the standard Western genre. In our modern world of subverting expectations to make a social point in cinema, Johnny Guitar shows that you can do this and make a good movie at the same time. Sterling Hayden plays Johnny Guitar, an itinerant musician who is asked to work at a saloon owned by Vienna, played by Joan Crawford. He arrives to find that the town is split into two camps, one led by Vienna and are considered outlaws, and the town elders, led by Emma, played by Mercedes McCambridge. The situation is complicated by the presence of the dancing kid, played by Scott Brady, who leads the faction supporting Vienna. He was a former lover of both Vienna and Emma and still has feelings for Vienna, whereas Emma still has feelings for the kid. Finally, we soon learn that Johnny Guitar is also Vienna's ex-lover and a reformed gunslinger, whose real name is Johnny Logan, and it is apparent they still have feelings for each other. This is getting good! Although this film fits well into modern sensibilities, it was an odd film for its time. It was produced and distributed by Republic Pictures, which was formed by Herbert J. Yates by the merging of 7 existing Poverty Row studios. These studios produced B pictures that were of lower quality and expense and were usually shown as a supportive feature on a double bill with a major studio release. Profit was difficult for these studios, and they often went bankrupt quickly. Yates wanted Republic to be a 6th major studio to join Paramount, Warner Brothers, Fox, MGM, and Universal in releasing big-budget, high-impact movies. Although he had a lot of money, the 5 major studios dominated the market, and so to attract moviegoers, Yates had to take more chances with unknown actors, directors, and properties, and also, notably, in bending the rigid production code. Eventually, Republic released several significant pictures, including John Ford's A Quiet Man.
You know, Yank, I've taken quite a liking to you.
Alan Dwan's The Sands of Iwo Jima, and Johnny Guitar. So what's so different about this movie? Well, first off, the iconography is backwards. The good guys, that is, the characters representing the establishment, all wear black, whereas the outlaws wear white and rich colors. The 2 strongest characters in the film are women. The men are all indecisive and weak and are constantly dominated by the women. Although this is standard these days, in 1954 this was rare, especially in westerns.
Never seen a woman who was more a man. She thinks like one, acts like one, and sometimes makes me feel like I'm not.
I wanted to run her out before she ever got in, but you wouldn't listen. The marshal says he has to have legal cause. Mr. McIvers thinks he can do it with talk. And the rest of you can't make up your minds.
But perhaps the most modern of the sensibilities shown in Johnny Guitar is the relationship between Vienna and Emma. Although the title of the movie is the name of the Sterling Hayden character, and the movie is told from his viewpoint, it isn't about him. It's about the 2 women. From the beginning, it is clear that their relationship is special. It appears to be hostile, but there is an undeniable sense of desire as well. It's as if Vienna and Emma are actually attracted to each other and are sublimating their true feelings with over-the-top loathing. What is only suggested here is now very popular. Many modern films have gay or bisexual characters, most often women. As we all know, but don't talk about out loud, same-sex female relationships are titillating to the heterosexual male population, and maybe even to the heterosexual female population for all I know. So if you put in a lesbian scene into your movie, you're already one up on the box office. As popular as it was even back then, big studio-era movies couldn't portray a sexual relationship between 2 women. Titillating or not, it simply was not done. Lillian Hellman's popular 1934 play, The Children's Hour, is about an all-girls school run by 2 women who are falsely accused by one of the children of having a lesbian relationship. Even though the accusation was shown to be false in the play, the storyline was considered too risque for Hollywood of the time, and the plot was converted into a heterosexual love triangle in 1936's These Three, directed by William Wyler. Other directors took bigger chances. They implied lesbian relationships and let the audience's imagination do the rest. The Wild Party is a pre-code movie released in 1929 and directed by Dorothy Arzner. It describes the trials and tribulations of students at an all-girls school during the Prohibition era. A caring relationship between two of the students develops, and although the movie ends with both of them engaged to men, their closeness to each other throughout is implied in their body language. Marlene Dietrich was an early gay icon who subverted expectations with every Hollywood picture she starred in. Morocco was released in 1930, just before the Motion Picture Production Code went into effect, and I'm sure Will Hayes swooned when he saw this scene. In Shanghai Express, Dietrich plays a sexually ambiguous character. The fact that Dietrich was in a relationship with her co-star Anna May Wong during the filming of the movie only adds to the spice of this scene. Dietrich is at it again in the western Destry Rides Again. Here she gets into a ferocious brawl with Una Merkel that veers between sexuality and violence, which is especially titillating, so it gets extra points. But none of these films actually show a lesbian relationship. They merely imply one. Modern movies, however, have taken this concept to an extreme. Don't get me wrong, some movies have a point to portraying a lesbian relationship. 2015's Carol and 2017's Disobedience focus on the difficulties of navigating traditional society with untraditional outlooks, so portraying lesbianism and a sex scene is dramaturgically justified, even if it sometimes gets a little carried away. In The Perfection and Black Swan, the lesbian relationships help portray emotional conflict in both the personal and professional lives of the lead characters. Lots of other ways of doing this, and I'm not sure what the sex scene does to drive the plot forward, but there is a point, and it drives the box office, so fine. But some movies seem to throw in a gratuitous lesbian angle that doesn't seem relevant either to the plot or even the scene itself. The lesbian sex scenes appear to be inserted merely for titillation purposes. For example, Jennifer's Body, released in 2009. The two lead characters are friends in school. One night they appear in a bedroom together, do it, and suddenly they stop. Take this scene out of the movie, and how does the plot change? In 1998's Wild Things, two female protagonists fight, fall into a pool, and before you know it, aggression turns into passion and they're stripping down for action. But what is the point of all this? Actually, the best part of the scene is Kevin Bacon. His reaction as he spies on them is priceless. This has gotten so commonplace in modern pictures that it has become a focus of satire.
Is there a problem, people?
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
Now, Herbert Yates was an ambitious man, and he wanted his new studio to succeed, but he wasn't crazy. He couldn't show a sexual relationship between two women in 1954, no matter how desperate he was to have a hit movie. In Johnny Guitar, Nicholas Ray, like William Wyler in These Three, ostensibly portrays a heterosexual love quadrangle between Johnny Guitar, Vienna, the Dancing Kid, and Emma, but unlike Wyler, he wasn't willing to leave it there. The movie focuses on the relationship between Vienna and Emma. Their relationship is adversarial at the start, and their hostility towards each other exceeds any rational explanation. The male townsfolk have as good a justification as Emma to dislike Vienna, and yet they don't seem to get as worked up. Indeed, the men finally get tired of their conflict and decide to leave it to them to settle on their own.
Mac, me and the boys had enough of this killing.
So have I. It's their fight has been all along.
Vienna and Emma's initial up-close, face-to-face confrontation sets the atmosphere for the whole movie.
I'm going to kill you.
I know.
When Emma and the townsfolk accuse the dancing kid of robbing the stagecoach, her hatred of the dancing kid is evident, and Vienna questions this.
Someone holds up the stagecoach, your brother is killed, and all you can think about is hanging the dancing kid. Why do you hate him so? What did he ever do to you?
Vienna appears to be making the point that Emma has feelings for the dancing kid, but maybe that isn't the reason. Interestingly, this scene is repeated later, but this time it is Johnny Guitar questioning Vienna as to why Emma hates her.
Why does she hate you so?
She's in love with the kid.
Last night she was trying awful hard to get him hung.
He makes her feel like a woman, and that frightens her.
Her response is unconvincing, and Johnny clearly doesn't believe it. What is implied in both of these scenes is that Emma has feelings for Vienna, and Vienna realizes it. Perhaps the most compelling scene is when Emma leads a mob to arrest Vienna for the bank robbery, and in the process burns down Vienna's saloon. Emma's happiness in finally seeing her rival/lover saloon burn to the ground is fascinating. Mercedes McCambridge portrays Emma's happiness with an orgasmic intensity. Coupled with the deep, saturated, warm colors with which Ray staged the shot, this suggests an intense internal passion in Emma for Vienna. Nicholas Ray relies on his creative skill and the imagination of his audience to make, in Johnny Guitar, a Hollywood counterculture classic, all right under the noses of the very censors that were put in place to block pictures like this from being released in the first place. This was a major achievement. The movie production code, as well as Hollywood societal norms during the big studio era, get a lot of criticism for suppressing creativity in the motion picture business. But one of the many appealing features to individualism is that people always find a way. The approach might be more subtle, but the message still gets across, and in its subtlety, the message is far more powerful. Subtlety also allows for multiple interpretations. Who knows? Maybe Emma's hatred for Vienna is indeed because of her jealousy over the dancing kid. Johnny Guitar presents questions, drops hints throughout, but in the end leaves it up to the audience to draw their own conclusions. In an ambiguous world replete with, to put it charitably, films that are not up to portraying that ambiguity, modern studios may wish to take a cue from films like Johnny Guitar and make films that are not only socially relevant, but entertaining as well.